Hey, hi, ho, and howdy, everybody. My name is Shannon Shook, and today I'm thinking about talking about something just a little bit extra. Oh, you can do what you wanna do. Oh, you can be what you wanna be in true color. Hi, So I looked it up. I was right. It was Cyndi Lauper. It was Sydney, whatever. Fucking nailed it. Anyway, hey, hi, ho, and howdy, everybody. My name is Shannon Shook, and welcome yet again to once again, another again of again of RWBY. To another episode of the RWBY Review Cap Extra. This time talking about episode 10, True Colors. Show me just who you are. Show me why I have tie-dyed sheets. I do. I just realized that. I have... I know. It took me this long in life to realize it. But yeah, no, I have... These sheets have to be like, what, 20? 25 years old? That's absurd. That's ridiculous. That's crazy. That's wild. Comfy as fuck, though. So... Anyway, hey, hi, ho, and howdy. We're going to talk about this episode. Anyway, like I mentioned in the last episode, this is one of my favorite episodes of the season, which is saying something because there's actually a lot of really... I'm gonna go out and just throw aside here right now. This season's been really interesting because it's one of those ones where the things that it does right, it does absurdly right. And the things that it does wrong, it does falter in some areas. But what it does right... it does so fucking right, like I said. And this whole episode is a whole lot of right. I'll say that. Well, I'll say, and then I'll take a quick pause to go talk about Crow and Ozpin for a little while, and pacing wasn't always perfect in this season. Anyway. Yeah, so this episode's basically broken up into two parts. And that's a small section in the beginning talking... I am so fucking dehydrated right now. Oh my god. Like the fucking Mojave. The first part's broken up into a small section about Crow and Ozpin and RWBY real quickly just discussing how fucked they are. They're sitting there, it's basically Crow and Oz at first, just going like, again, yeah, shit's bad, it's not good, people are working with Salem, she's bad, whose voice is this? It's definitely not Crow's. Holy shit, he's Adam from fucking RWBY Abridged. Blake! Okay, Worst part is I actually wanted to break out in Adam, and then I realized, I am so fucking loud when I do his voice. For those who aren't aware, I played Adam Taurus in Dust to Dust's, right? That's our thing, right? Version of RWBY Abridged, and I'm hilarious. So you should go watch the Black trailer. I'm not, but everybody else is. Point is... Crow and Oz are sitting there talking about how bad things are. And Crow's talking about how bad things are. And Ozpin's kind of like, hey, it's not that bad. Don't worry about it. We'll be good. Just gotta have faith. And he's like, fuck that. No. And then RWBY shows up. And she's all like, hey, what's up, everybody? My voice is really squeaky. My dudes. This is another thing. A lot of people have issues with RWBY's voice. For me, I've never really had an issue. Don't get me wrong. There are certain lines in particular that I find hilarious the way she says them. Because they're definitely meant to be taken seriously, but they don't always work that way. That being said, I've never been a person who's like, oh, this person sounds silly when they say something, therefore that what they say actually has no weight. Again, that's one of the biggest things I actually see people complain about in RWBY is Ruby's voice. And for me, that's never been a problem. It's something that I do laugh at. And I don't mean, I'm not saying that to be like, haha, Lindsay, your voice is terrible. No, I mean like, haha, it's kind of funny, even though it's not supposed to be. But I don't think that's a bad thing. The amount of times you can kind of laugh at fucking, this is my fight too, is a lot. But it doesn't make me, like, it doesn't take me out of that scene, or it doesn't bother me that it's that way. It just makes me chuckle a little bit. And then there's some fucking scenes where she nails like a fucking, like a goddamn sledgehammer. And that's, like, literally anything that she says in the last couple episodes of fucking, season 3. Leave her alone is still one of the greatest fucking lines in the entire goddamn show, and I love it so much. Point is, I'm still talking about things that have nothing to do with this episode. Point is, RWBY shows up, and they chat for a little while, and basically she ends up bringing up the discussion of Cinder and the Fall Maiden powers, and more specifically, the relic at Beacon, which I believe we have earlier in this season kind of mentioned that, or no, it wasn't in this season, it was last season, that Salem was all like, bitch, you find the fucking relic, it is there, we know it, do it good, push it real good, that's not the right, point is, and it's, yeah, Osmond basically goes, no, it's fine, don't worry about that, we need to focus on Haven's relic right now, because I did a little something special about this relic, and of course everyone in the audience is like, oh, I know what he means, because I know what the relic is. Nailed it, got it, pinned it down, correct it. It's his cane. By the way, my cane isn't the relic. Fucker. Those are my favorite scenes, because the scene was in there obviously just to get people to stop fucking talking about how the cane was the relic. To the point of, I mean, like, if you go back and watch, I think it's the episode that they showed off with the relic, or they talked about the relics in the first place. In Volume 4, the one that I was talking about with Salem, I very emphatically threw out that it was the cane. It's not the cane. It's the motherfucking cane. You know, I thought it was funny. I always liked how RWBY loves to kind of be like, oh yeah, no, see all these things that you guys are saying? Fucking wrong. Anyway, that kind of ends up, and they all share a little laugh, and then Crow ends up getting a call from, oh, here's a cowardly lion. He's a fucking schmuck. He gets a call from Leo, basically going like, oh yeah, no, it's fucking great, it's golden, I love it, I love this that's happening, you guys should come here, don't bring weapons, it's definitely not a trap, thank you, it's definitely not a trap. Crow? Leo has turned into the baby boy Bento, and this is where the part where I have to say the Crow, well, it is not a trap. You see this thing that it is? You know what it is? It's not a trap. You silly goose. Silly goose, Crow. I'll talk to you later, Crow. Can I talk about how Crow is like the funnest word to say is bento? That in face. Anyway. I don't get to do Bento's voice nearly as much because I don't do the review cap as often. Makes me really sad. Anyway. Also, I realize when I do a video like this, I don't ever go through and like pitch up my voice when I'm doing Bento's voice, so it's like, it's a really low down, deep down Bento, and I'd like the baby boy high pitch Bento that you hear in the review cap. So Crow is immediately like, oh, that's a fucking trap, and Osmond's like, oh, that's a fucking trap, and RWBY's like, oh, that's fucking good, I'm sure. And they all basically get ready to go. And that kind of ends this little section, and I didn't realize that there's actually broken up into 3 sections this episode, because I completely forgot. This is the thing, is because especially with the last episode, I could not remember what happened at all. I actually had to go back and rewatch the fucking episode, and I still fucked that shit up. But this one, at least, I only forgot a small third of it. Anyway, the next little section of the episode is devoted to basically Raven and Leo sitting there talking. Obviously, when she had flown to Crow in the last episode, she made her way to Leo instead and basically set him up with like, hey, you need to set up this ambush because we gotta kick my bird bro into cloaca. What's that gotta be like? I just realized if they can turn into birds, oh my god, they have completely different body parts then. That's gotta be fucking weird. I mean, right, doesn't it? I just realized how weird that must be. I finally understand why Yang was so upset. Anyway, point is, it's basically just a small confrontation or discussion between Leo and Raven, where Raven's basically explaining, well, you did what you had to do. I understand that you're upset that you're this fucking cowardly schmo, but, you know, it's okay because, you know, you did the right thing. You did what you had to survive. You're a real one, just like me. And Leo's like, the fuck are you talking about? We're a bunch of pathetic, whiny, bitchy cowards, and we don't deserve forgiveness for what we're doing. I don't know who the fuck you're trying to convince, but we are so fucked. Leo is forever bento to me now. Anyway, point is, and this is basically that whole scene is just them discussing, and I thought it was actually a really good touch because Leo doesn't always get the most time to shine. He's only there every once in a while, and he doesn't have a lot of good moments. It's mostly him just being a whiny, pathetic little bastard. But I did really like the scene because it showed a side of him as like he does know what he's doing is very, very wrong. He's just not gonna stop himself. He will judge the fuck out of you for doing the same thing. He's like, I know, bitch, you don't, like, I know what kind of a shitbag I am. And if you're gonna do the same thing, you're probably a shitbag too. Am I right? Am I right? You're right. Anyway, and then kind of ends that scene. Again, it was just a follow-up on the, his side of the ambush, I suppose. And I thought that was a really good scene. Again, I really liked him calling Raven out for her being really just like him. She may be stronger, she may be more powerful, but that doesn't make her strong. Winky face. Anyway, point is, and then it breaks into the last section of the show, or the episode, I should say, not the show, the episode, and that is the end of the confrontation in Menagerie. And I fucking loved it so much. Like, there's so much to love about it. The biggest issue is it's mostly fighting, so there's only so much I can talk about. It's kind of the same issue that I always had with the regular view cap, is when people are fighting, I have nothing to talk. Like, what am I gonna say? And then he punched him, and then she punched her, and then this man karate chopped her in the face, and she lit his balls on fire. Like, it's very difficult for me to talk about. That being said, there's a couple beats in particular. When they start the fight between Ilia and Blake, there's a little argument back and forth, like, you come here to hide too, you fucking pulling some of that, like, you're a bit of a coward too. A lot of the villains are total fucking cowards. It's a theme I've noticed. Yeah. Basically throwing that out at her, and then Ilia jumps in and attacks, only to be evaded by some shadow clones. And this is the thing too, is I have to give huge props to the gang who is animating this episode, because not only did, like, most specifically, the one that I can call out because it's the one that I know most, god damn it, Shannon, she's the one I know by name and that I can call out easily, and that's Kim Newman, who did the gunchucks for this episode. Has done quite a few pretty notable fucking fight scenes in the past 2 seasons. I believe she also had a huge hand in the Crow and Tyrion fight from last volume, which was still fucking phenomenal. I love it. And it's like one of my favorite fights ever. But point is, I have to give props because there's a lot of emphasis on things in this that I really like. Number one, I thought it was really well put together, especially there's one scene in particular in there that I just think the camera work and the way it's done together is really well. And it's when Ilia, it's like halfway through the fight, so I don't know why I'm talking about it now, but it's when about halfway through the fight, Ilia knocks Blake's gamble shroud out of her hand, and then she spins around and starts fighting like that. And the part with the whip where she's catching the fucking bullets, like, fucking fight me like you mean it. Like, it's really, really good. There's a lot of really good to like. I think the only thing in the entire episode that I can complain about when it comes to anything is, like, it's a little slow right in the beginning. Like, when she hooks her and drags her up to her and then kicks her back down. Like, it doesn't work perfectly. It's a little slow. There's a little bit of a inconsistency with Blake's positioning towards the end of the fight when Sun and Ilia are having their little argument. And they actually did go back, I think, in the YouTube version and twist and change it a little bit. And while it makes sense for one moment, it doesn't necessarily make the biggest amount of sense for another moment. I don't know. It's weird. But all in all, I'd never noticed it the first. I didn't notice it until someone pointed it out to me. So I think it was overall okay. And the fight overall is fucking fantastic. Again, huge props to everyone who worked on it. Again, the only one I can call out by name is Kim Newman. Shoutouts to her, and shoutouts to everyone whose names that I don't know off the top of my head. Y'all did good. Anyway, the thing I wanted to also talk about was, again, the use of Blake shadow clones in the fight. Actually, it gets used quite a few times, and I like it. It's good when you get to see people's abilities and weapons used to their fullest. It's one of those things that people complain about RWBY a lot recently is the over-reliance on her weapon and not at all on her semblance. Which is the thing for me is because then people complained about it in the fucking beginning of the last volume, how it was too much of a focus on the it can be difficult finding a middle ground, and I do hope we can work our way towards a middle ground. But overall, it's fine by me. But I can see why people have issues sometimes. Point is, I think they did a really good job in this episode. About halfway through the fight or whatever, Ilia makes use of her chameleon powers, kills the lights. And while at first I was a little confused, I'm like, wait, night vision. Wait, everyone has night vision. And then I realized, oh yeah, no, wait, she's pitch black. If you're looking at pitch black on black, guess what it looks like? Pitch black. Even if you can see it, it still looks like pitch black. So it was a good touch, and it was also the first time in the entire show that I realized we have no idea what Ilia's semblance is. we know what her trait is. We have no idea what her semblance is, assuming that those two aren't tied into one another. But I mean, if she doesn't, then yeah, no, she has an incredibly useful animal or fauna trait, as well as potentially a very useful semblance. I'd be very interested to see what we actually hear from her in the future, as I want to know what love is. Anyway, so they have a little bit of a tussle in the dark. Blake lights the house on fire, as you do. I don't know if any sounds are coming up when that happens, but if there is, my apologies. It probably happened in the last episode too. If nothing did, you're like, when what happened? And I'm like, shh, don't talk about it. Pay no attention to the bento behind the curtain. So basically the fight goes on a little while longer. She sets the house on fire so that she can see Ilia. They have their fight again. Does the little flippy twirl with the gamble shroud. And there's another huge thing I have to give props to. Again, Jeremy Lee is so fucking amazing when it comes to her voice acting. It is phenomenal. Her screaming her off like, come on and fight me like you mean it. Like, it's so fucking good. God damn, I love that woman. Makes me remember why I fell in love with Makoto in the first place. Anyway. Yeah, no, she does such a good job. You gotta give her the utmost props. You gotta give props to everybody this volume. Everyone's had really good moments. There's even another character in, like, was it? I guess it would be 3 episodes down, episode 13 or whatever, that gets a little time to talk again. And while some people were like, motherfucker, what? I thought he did good most of the time. People who know the review cap and know this series that I do will know who I'm talking about. Blake! Okay, sorry. I have no room to talk. My Adam is shitty too. Point is... Point is, after that, they kind of... She ends up escaping up to the balcony and then jumping back down and knocking her weapon out of her hands after freezing it. That's another thing, too, is continued use with the dust-infused bullets and clones. I love the way dust gets infused into different stuff and used and things like that. It's great. I love... They have a really cool, you know, magic super stone with them in this series, and I like when they use it to its fullest and its most weird, like the floating islands in the beginning of the volume. Like that's something that I never thought of, but that's genius. That's perfect. Why wouldn't I fucking think of that? I feel so stupid. Well, that's because you're stupid. Don't you fucking tell me what I already know. But anyway, you know, so it's really cool. I really enjoyed it. She freezes her thing, snails it. Yep, that's what we're saying here. Steals it from her and then tosses it aside, and then she pounces on her like she's about to engage in copulation. Anyway, point is, I'm sorry. It's a really emotional and great moment, and like Aaron and Jeremy again both did fucking amazing, and the animators did good, and like it's a really good little shot, but it's also really easy to put on some sexy music in the background and be like, I know what I'm doing tonight. Point is, I thought it was a good scene. After that point, after she's got her pinned down, mounted, prepared to ride like the wind, bullseye. Agira comes busting through the wall with Corsic and Fennec. Ends up getting got in the back for a moment. Fucking gets up and walks it off like a fucking champion, might I add. And then they proceed to fight with Corsic and Fennec. Blake gets taken out for a moment. Corsic, Fennec, Gira all fight. Also, can I say the number one shout outs to Corsic for being able to hold his own against Gira in the little fist punchy thing that he do. Number two, that has to hurt so incredibly bad, it makes me want to cry every time I see it. I've punched someone in between the knuckles before, and they've done the same to me when you do it and you just high speed, like wham, like that. That's fucking debilitating. Anyway, so they have their fight for a little while, and before Sun shows up, and they continue to throw down like the bunch of badasses they are, are, and were. It's at that point, Sun, or Gira calls out to Sun, like, go help Blake, I got this, I got these fucking schmoes, and he's like, I got you, cat daddy, and he goes after Ilia, and they have a little throwdown, and which, again, brings out the gunchucks for the first time since fucking Volume 1, which is awesome, because, again, I get that they're incredibly hard to do, but I have to give, again, huge props to Kim, because she fucking nailed that shit. Good job. Good job, good friend. It was really cool to see those again, just because they're really fun weapons. And for the longest time, I always said, like, there's quite a few little weapons. Like, if you had to choose any one, Jingle Bang and RWBY Bang are probably one of my favorites. They're just a RWBY. I don't point. Sun's weapon. Point is, they're a really fun weapon. It's really cool to see them in action. Anyway, they tussle with the muscles for a while. And then Blake's like, don't do it, please. And basically, the pillar that Sun has Ilia pressed up against, like, hey, I just met you. This is crazy. But here's my number, so call me maybe. And she's like, nah, I like puss. Point is, they're doing that for a little while. And then ends up breaking the pillar behind her. And Sun's like dipping out, like, fuck no, we ain't hanging out with this. This is a fall. That's a death right there. And that's like, oh my god, is she gonna get crushed? But no, because Gira's the baddest of the baddest. And he goes and saves her, and it's great. It's awesome. And I thought it was really cool that it was him that saved her. Because it shows that man's got heart. Man's got heart. Man's not hot, but man's got heart. Quick maths. Point is, They have that little moment there, and it's at this point that Fennec looks over at his unconscious ass, knocked out brother, because his bro a bitch. And is like, oh, I see how this is. I got my perfect strike opportunity. Grab those knives, scream at the top of your lungs, sprint at the old man as he's trapped under the thing with the thing. And it's at that point that Blake notices what's happening, catches Gira, pulls him out, and then Fennec gets Fennucked. He gets flattened. And then explodes. It was a kind of funny, and it was an interesting way for that character to die. The biggest thing was when I kept watching reactions of it, and everyone was like, "Wait, why the fuck did he explode?" Which is gonna make sense because he had the dust-filled daggers that were all turned on and getting ready, and dust is explosive. It makes sense, but it looks like, bitch, you are dumb. Why would you do this? Everyone else had their back to you, and yet you go and stab the guy who's currently about to die for being crushed by a goddamn balcony. Oh, Fennec. There's a reason why everyone liked your brother better. But, it's okay. I liked your ears. Those were cool. They're probably a little flatter now, but it's okay. Anyway, and that basically ends that whole fight, because Corsair's like, I can't believe you've done this. I'm gonna get you real good. I'm gonna scream real loud. And then Ilia was like, no, we can't do this. I'm sorry. I gotta agree with Blake here. That was fucked. I never expected to see my man get pancaked like that. I'm not okay. And then she breaks down crying. I guess I never actually mentioned, I don't think I ever mentioned Kali, what's going on with Kali during these past, 3 episodes. Point is, she was in the other room, and she had a tray, and then she beat up Yuma. It just occurred to me because she shows back up in the scene, dragging his dumb badass out. And not bad, but bat. I mean, he's bad to the bone, and also just bad at his job. Point is, she knocks Yuma the fuck out, and then ends up coming back in a little bit later into this scene. I can't remember what episode that is when that happens, but I just realized I never mentioned that before, so I probably should have mentioned it. Anyway, that happens, and then everybody gets together, and yeah, everybody kind of gets out of the burning fucking building. Gira ends up dragging out one of the guards and one of the White Fang members. Ilia's kind of being held back. Corsair's in custody. The son's like, holy shit, that was neat. And everyone's kind of sitting there taking a fucking breather after that crazy wild ride. And then it was at that point when Blake kind of notices the opportunity to give this speech that she never kind of really got to make during the 3rd episode of the volume. Obviously, it's not the same speech, but I don't know. This was such a good fucking moment. It's just one of the reasons there's a lot to love about this episode, and that speech is definitely one of them. And not just because you can make all of the jokes out of the fact that she's like, humans didn't do this. I did this. I burned my house down. I'm a bad person. Point is, she goes on to deliver a speech, basically with the main tone being, like, we are just as capable as anyone else of doing some really horrible, fucked up shit. And every time we just sit by and let it happen, some fucking bullheaded schmuck will come in and be like, I'll prove it to the world. I'll prove it trying to do this, but that doesn't make up for the fact that he's proven that you can do it in the first place. And if you don't want that to happen, if you don't want the world to think you're a bunch of murdering nutcases, you gotta stop the crazy motherfucker who's painting that picture of you. If you just sit by and let that happen, then nothing gets fixed, and it just gets worse because that person is the one who speaks for you. Yeah, it's a really good speech, and I liked it. There's not much more I can say about this. A really good speech. Anyway, she says that, ends up rallying all the groups, or all the faunists there together into one triumphant group. We're like, yeah, let's go save Haven. I am Spartacus. And everybody teaming up. And Ilia ends up joining her down there, and I'll stand with you. if you'd have me, which I've never heard in any way that isn't, you know, romantic or sexual before this moment, so in my heart, that's still what it is. And I'm pulling for you, girl. I know that it's probably not gonna happen, but I just want you to be happy, Ilia. So Ilia and Sun both join her down there, as well as her parents, and they all kind of stand triumphant as this, like, okay, well, we got 2 weeks till we can get to Haven, or till we can get there before Adam's planned attack. We can get there, we can stop this shit, we gotta train people, we gotta get weapons, we gotta get armor, we gotta get a fucking fan club started for Ilia because she's neat. Sun's gotta poke her because she stabbed him and is like, hey, I gotta make up for that, and I also gotta be classy as fuck. Hey, you Sun, I see you, my boy. Point is, they all kind of get together there, and Blake basically ends the episode off with, well, I think I know a ship captain who can get us there, which is a cool nod. It's cool that we, you know, another nod to the old ship captain from the last volume, who was a fun character. I enjoyed that. And again, that's basically where the episode ends. And again, it was a really enjoyable episode. It's not my favorite, because the last 2 episodes of the volume are fucking phenomenal, and so are the 2 that come before. I really like this volume, and while I know some people did have issues with it, I didn't take anywhere near as much issue with it as anyone else did. But again, I'm a fucking fanboy, so what do you want from me? Point is, it was a good episode. I really enjoyed it. I like that we now have Blake on her way to go save everybody. We got I'm Dying. We have Ilia on team Victory Badasses, and we have one less fucking Albane in the world, and that's I think something we can all approve of. I don't know if there's anything else to say other than that. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed, go ahead and double the like button, comment button, subscribe buttons. They're all down there. They tell me how you feel. I like that. Real good. In my tummy. It's delicious. Put that shit on toast. Scrumptious. Anyway, yeah, comment down below what you guys thought of the episode, about this, whatever. And I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. I will see you guys in the next episode. We will be talking about episode 11. Ooh, that's gonna be one to talk about. Getting fresh and tasty in the woods. I mean, what is fucking episode 10 called? I don't know. I'm literally, I don't know these things with my mind. Point is, we're gonna talk about it, and it's gonna be good. More the merrier. That's what it's called. Nailed it. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Doodles, and lemons. Bye-bye.